Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon, and today we're going to be walking through my NFL power rankings. This is the first week that I've actually done this. I rank all 32 teams in the NFL. I have a process that I do that takes way longer than it should. So please hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Just much appreciation goes out to all of you guys who support the channel, so thank you very much. Without further ado, I'm just gonna jump straight into it. I think the deeper explanations will come once we get inside maybe the top 25. But from the bottom up, the worst 6 teams in the NFL are currently the Titans, the Jets, the Saints, the Raiders, the Browns, the Panthers, and the Giants. That's from 32. So the Titans will be 32. The Giants will be 26. I have the Bengals at 25. They're not playing good without Joe Burrow, and the incredible fall off that they've had is really bad. Defense is not playing to the level that we expected them to play, which is kind of what we expected. We thought, hey, they're going to bring back Trey Hendrickson, and this defense is going to get better. But it did not. It did not get better in any regard. So that's a giant question mark that I have as the Bengals is, can your defense get better? Can you play better as a team? Can Jake Browning step up? Can Jamar Chase step up? And honestly, I don't think that they're playing well enough to win the division. They're just not. So, yeah. At number 24, I have the Baltimore Ravens. The reason why the Ravens are at 24 is because defensively, people are talking a lot about the Ravens' defense, but they're banged up. I'll make that excuse for the Ravens. They're banged up. They're not 100%. They're injured. And, right now in Baltimore, the offense is not playing well. Derrick Henry fumbled the first 3 weeks of the season. Lamar did last week. Lamar's injured now. Things are not looking great for the Ravens as a team, offensively or defensively. The Dolphins beat the Jets, and I have them at 23. The Patriots are at 22. Dominating win this past weekend, but they play Buffalo this week. I doubt that they will beat the Bills or find a way to beat the Bills. 21, I have the Texans. Texans traded away an offensive lineman this week. I don't remember who it was, but they did trade away an offensive lineman. It's just like, how bad is this team? Because I don't know anybody that would trade an offensive line on a team that's probably still bad. I bet as bad as it is. The Falcons are at 20. Even though the Commanders lost to them, I have the Commanders at 19. The Cowboys, I put them at 18. The offense looks really good, and the defense is playing as I expected. I mean, nothing special there. So the fact that they're 1-2-1, and gave up 40 points and still tied, I mean, it's a win for Cowboys. As much as people don't like to admit it, that is a win for Dallas. At number 17, I have the Arizona Cardinals. They're 2-1, but their 2 wins came against the Saints and the Panthers. Panthers offense really struggled. It looks like the Panthers offense is only going to be able to beat bad teams, and that will also apply for the Cardinals as well, because they can't beat your bad teams, and also you beat the Saints, who aren't even. I'm not going to say that the Saints aren't trying this year, because they look like they're playing with passion, but this is a rebuilding year, and I think everyone knows it. Expectations are incredibly low for the Saints this season, so the fact that you beat them, great win for you, but most likely there's a good chance that they beat everybody that's on their schedule, that they lose to everybody that's on their schedule instead of winning. So there's that. Number 16 is the Bears. one of the things that I think a lot of people talked about was consistency. Okay, Chicago, you beat the Cowboys, but show me again. And that's what they did. They showed us again why they were or how badly they beat the Cowboys. They did it again. They have an area of consistency. And this week they have the bye. Next week you play the Commanders coming off of the bye. So that's definitely a game to watch. Caleb Williams looks just incredibly better. The offense is clicking. The defense, however, is going to be a problem. Like, this is one of those teams like a Bengals or Cowboys where the offense is really good, but the defense isn't great. They don't play good. Kansas City is the 15th best team in my opinion, and they're the exact opposite. So they don't play well on offense. They really struggle, but defensively, they play much better, and they started to get in a rhythm and mojo this week versus the Ravens' depleted defense. The Broncos are 14. I think they're better, although they have incredibly small odds to make the playoffs this season. So I don't get that, but I mean, the Broncos offense is great. I love it. Bo Nix is playing incredibly, and Sean Payton has a game plan, and he plans on sticking to that game plan, and he performs well when he sticks to the game plan. So great job by Sean Payton in Denver and doing what they're doing there. At number 13, I have the 49ers. Brock Purdy comes back and they lose their first game. That's a bad sign for me. But you look at the 49ers, I mean, outside of the Seahawks, who, honestly, we don't know about the Seahawks yet. They could be good, they could be bad. We don't know. Right? And so that's just a question mark I have when I'm talking about the Seahawks. And that's a great win, but, not fantastic. And outside of that game, you've played the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Jaguars, and you lost one of those games. So, still a lot to prove for the Niners. I still think that they can win the division, but it all falls on what happens Thursday night. 12 is actually the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why I put the Jaguars at 12? I feel really good about Jacksonville after this week. They definitely show me what they can do. Travis Hunter had a couple of good catches, and the defense played good as a unit this week. But the question I really have about the Jaguars is what about Trevor Lawrence, but what about Travis Hunter? What about him? Like, is he still doing the both sides of the ball thing? Because honestly, he doesn't look that good defensively, but that might just be me. 11 is the Seahawks at 3-1. They beat the Cardinals on Thursday night. This is back-to-back weeks where we have the rivalry uniforms. I do not know if the Rams are wearing the rivalry uniforms. I'd like to think that they are. Let me just fact-check that. But the Seahawks, before we get into the Rams, played really well. And Sam Darnold was able to have that legacy drive, good drive at the end of the game to help win that matchup against the Seahawks, against the Cardinals. And right now, the Sam Darnold decision, the decision that the Vikings made to deliberately, it's not looking as good. It's not looking as good. It's not looking great for the Vikings. for the Seahawks. And then it's kind of like how did you let them back into that game? Because you were up by so many points, and your secondary is one of the best in the NFL. So it's kind of a giant question mark to me how you let them back in the game. But at the end of the day, you won it, and that's all that matters. So there's that. Number 10 is the Vikings at 2-2. I think the biggest question with the Vikings was what are they going to look like? And they've looked somewhat decent for a team that lost their quarterback in free agency. They're don't worry, this is just a stupid notification. They're playing in free agency. They lost their quarterback, but the defense has been a great unit so far. And the other thing about the Vikings is Aaron Jones is injured, and they're still playing good. So, in my opinion, the Vikings aren't bad, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year because, like I said before, your quarterback's gone. I don't know at least how long Aaron Jones is out for, but he's most likely not coming back this week. So, a lot of question marks around the Vikings, but one thing I do know about this Minnesota team, they're not going to be 14-3 again. There's no chance. I mean, the schedule got a lot difficult. So, number 9 is the Packers at 2-1-1. What did I say about the Packers? I mean, they're a good football team. Offensively, I can't say things have slowed down offensively the last 2 weeks because you scored 40 points last week, but that 40 came against one of the worst defenses in the league. Gave up a blocked field goal. And you had pretty bad clock management in the final 20 seconds of that football game Sunday night. I can't say the Packers' offense is that good. What I will say is their offense has not played like they did in week 1, and their offense has not played like they did in week 2. Last week, there were a lot of offensive struggles. I figured, they're playing one of the worst offense or defenses in the league. They should be able to correct a lot of the mistakes that they made. They were not able to correct a lot of the mistakes that they made. And so they tied with Dallas, which is good because it's not a loss. But Detroit is first place in the division. And I feel like that tie with Dallas is definitely going to end up to hurt them, especially if the Lions beat the Cowboys. So, number 8, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 3-1. They're on the bye this week. And the offense has played better than I expected because I didn't expect Arthur Smith to kind of use the offense in the right way, but Aaron Rodgers is kind of taking over this offense, and he's just been like, okay, Arthur, I get you want me to throw the ball to Johnny Smith, but DK Metcalf's wide open, so I'm going to throw him the ball, and then he takes it all the way for a touchdown. So I didn't expect the Steelers to play as well as they have been, and another thing I didn't expect was the defense to be as bad as it is. But you know what? As the season progresses, they're going to get better. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to get better after the bye week. And they're going to play good heading into week 6. At number 7, I have the Indianapolis Colts. People are crashing out on Adonai Mitchell and stuff like that. But really, your defense should be catching some of the flack too, because Tutu Atwell's wide open. I can't remember the last time Tutu Atwell was wide open. It's not like, okay, guys, all of our attention goes to Puka and Devontae Adams, but it's more like, how do I say this? It's more like Tutu Atwell just kind of, I don't want to say slipped through the cracks because that's not what he did, but he didn't. He was wide open, but he didn't. He wasn't covered well enough. I guess that's the way I put it. I said the Colts defense was legit, and I like the Colts defense, and I still do, right? I still like the Colts defense. The only real problem I have with the Colts is maybe their offense. Adonai Mitchell didn't, those two mistakes cost you the game. So there's that. But the defense lost you that game because they weren't able to get a stop in a big time situation. And I want to see the Colts defense, especially when they play tougher opponents. Like this week, Raiders. Next week, Cardinals. Show me where you are when you play the Chargers. That's what I want to see. Number 6, I got the Buccaneers. They fell off incredibly from where I had them last week, but in all defense, I said on yesterday's show, I said, you shouldn't be in a position, or I guess 2 days ago, you should be in a position where you have to come back every game. And that falls on the responsibility of Todd Bowles and the defense. There should not be a situation where you need to come back. In almost every game, the Bucs have had to come back, and this one was one where the Eagles got out in front of it, and their lead was too much for you to handle, and you weren't able to come back from this. And this is kind of why I'm saying this. You can't allow this to happen, where you're down 28-3 in the second half, and you have to come back, and you fall a touchdown short, or a field goal short. That shouldn't be the situation you're in. The situation should be in, okay, guys, we have a good chance to win the game. Let's go win the game. It should at least be tied. You should not have to come back in every single game. At least a close one. I have the Chargers at number 5, 3-0. I'm just going to keep this brief with LA so I can get on to my top 4. But with the Chargers, injuries are going to hurt them. Joe Alt's the biggest one, the most impactful one. But there have been injuries all across the offensive line. And the defense has not played up to... The defense has gotten worse throughout the course of the season. I want to see how they play against Jane Daniels and the Commanders. Might be rough for the Commanders with Jane Daniels coming back for his first game and stuff like that. But how the offensive line plays really determines the rest of the season, because this is a pass-first oriented offense now. And one of the things that you need to throw the ball is time to throw the ball. So protection is key. At number 4, I have the Rams. At 3-1, they beat the Colts, who I thought maybe had a shot to have the best defense in the league. But Stafford and the Rams found a way to win. And remember how we were talking about Matthew Stafford and his back, and how if Stafford doesn't play, that affects the Rams' chances to win the division and potentially the entire NFC. Well, Stafford looks like his back is fine. Like, as I was watching the highlights from that game, I'm like, dude, we were just talking about Stafford's back a couple of weeks ago. Now he's 100% fine, and he's throwing wide open dots to Tutu Atwell. Plus, Puka Nacua arguably has the chance to be the best receiver in the league by the end of this year. He might be going for the Triple Crown, and it's because Cooper Kupp's not on the team anymore, and a majority of the targets go to 12 right there. He's always going to find a way to be open. The chemistry between Devontae and Stafford just isn't there yet, in my opinion, and it's going to take some time for it to get there. So, eventually, his favorite target, I think, will, or his second favorite target will eventually become Devontae Adams, but right now, it's not even close. It's Puka Nacua. Number 3 is the Lions. Detroit has a lot of injuries. The offensive line looks better, though. Defensively is where things started to crumble last year, where it's the beginning of the season, you're playing great. You 3-1, playing great, yet you lose Yet the injuries start to pile up on defense. Start piling up. One injury after another injury after another injury after another injury. And eventually, the injuries get to really tall and you're not able to beat the Commanders in a playoff game. I don't want that to happen to the Lions. Right? I did see Aleem McNeil is back and practicing. I saw Aleem McNeil's practicing. So that's good news, but DJ Reed out, Rakestraw out. Anybody but Vildor. Put Khalil Dorsey out there at cornerback. Anybody instead of Vildor. At number 2, I have the Bills, undefeated. Not much else to say, but I'm not going to say your real test starts now, but, Vrabel's back on the Patriots sideline, so could be a challenge for you. And then I have the Eagles at number 1. They kind of beat up the Bucs and blew them out, so that is my NFL Power Rankings. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for listening to The Jackson Show, and as always, bring a friend.